Hey everyone, welcome into another episode of the Inside Voice Podcast. My name is Jess. I am so thankful that you are here. In lieu of doing a piece of good news, which is usually something that we do to kick off the episode, I wanted to share something else with you just to give you a little bit of encouragement. If you remember last week, we talked about living life. We talked about how we need to stop waiting for invitations or for everything to be perfect or, the right scenario for things to happen in our life. And we talked about how precious life is, how short life is. It's a message that we have heard over and over and over again, but it's kind of like, why aren't we actually living it? And I titled it, Jesus Didn't Die for Your Screen Time. I feel like it's so easy for us just to scroll through social media rather than like getting out there and actually doing something. So my encouragement to you is I decided to go first. If you were a little, hesitant and thinking, okay, well, that's really nice to say, Jess, but like who actually does that? I did. So I did a couple of things since we last spoke. One, I took myself on a solo date, which was pretty fun, a little awkward at times, if I'm being completely honest. And people do kind of look at you like, why are you doing this by yourself? But there was an exhibit in downtown that I wanted to see, so I took myself to see it. I also fed my inner child a little bit. One of the things that I loved as a kid that I didn't do a lot of, but like the occasional times that I did, I was obsessed with it, and that was horseback riding. So I actually went horseback riding, or actually it was earlier today I went horseback riding, and again, it was by myself, but it was just like on a whim of like, what am I doing? Like I need to go, I need to do this, I need to put it in stone, and I didn't want to like send out an invitation and then be upset that people couldn't make it or have people say, oh, we'll do it another time. We can always do it another time. I just wanted to go. So I went and I did that, and it was so much fun. Like totally was just, it took me back to my childhood. It took me back to like the sweetness of being a kid again, which I think when you're a kid, you're just living life, right? You're not entirely concerned, or at least my childhood looking back, I wasn't really concerned about a lot in life, which is the beauty of childhood and growing up where I grew up. I mean, there was endless opportunities for imagination. So we grew up on 40 acres in California in the middle of nowhere in the mountains, and it was just phenomenal. And so being at this farm and being on that horse, and they had a petting zoo with like horses and chickens and cows and kangaroos, for crying out loud. Being in that environment as well, like also just took me back to feeling like a kid again. So again, get out there and live. Don't wait for things to be perfect. Don't wait for schedules to open up for other people. If you want to do it, like just go do it. And it's okay if you do it by yourself, okay? It's not that big of a deal. It's also okay if people outright tell you, no, I don't want to get on a horse, but that sounds good for you. You can still go do it yourself. God bless my husband, but he will not get on a horse. And that's fine. There was actually a part of me, like once I got up there, I was like, oh, this thing moves. Like this thing is on its own little schedule and timeline. Like, yes, I am supposed to be in control, but also like this is an animal. But it was great. So just a little bit of encouragement for you. Like I said, I went first. I wanted to say that I wanted to show you mostly that like, I'm not just saying these things. Like I mean it. It's okay for you to get out there and do the things you want to do, even if you don't have a ton of friends to do it with, even if you don't have a partner to do it with. I think there are people that think, well, when I'm married, I'll have somebody to do stuff with. And it's like, yeah, but also like, this is your life. Don't let it pass you by just because you're waiting on somebody else. We're starting a new series today. I am pretty excited about this one. Summertime being here, the month of June being here. It's actually, when this podcast goes up, it'll be June 1st. And there's just something about summer that is fun. It's exciting. Everybody's outside. I enjoy like the very early moments of summer before it gets hot, and then I'm over it. Then I'm just begging for fall to come around. Actually, I always say this to people around me. I love summer because it's the last season before fall. It's the last season before football and all the things and pumpkin patches and pumpkin spice lattes. And like, I'm a fall girly. Like I love when fall comes around. So I love summer because it's the last one before I get what I want. It's the final stretch. I just have to make it through. But one of the things that a lot of people start thinking about with summertime is dropping weight. And I am not here to do a fitness, health, weight loss podcast. I am not even here to do a series of that at this moment. One day, sure. I think that I have found some success in taking care of my body and pushing it in the gym and eating well and stuff like that. We will get there when I can fine tune, like, step by step how I think it's best for you to incorporate healthy habits. But what I want to talk about is dropping a different kind of weight. If you're a Christian, if you love Jesus, you know in the Bible it talks about us running a race, and we're meant to drop the weights that are on us and run the race with endurance. We're meant to drop the things that so easily ensnare us. And so I want to talk about dropping the weights that are holding you back emotionally, mentally. Maybe some of these can be physical things as well, but basically the things that, if you're truly trying to live, like we talked about last week, if you're truly trying to pursue something, if you're truly trying to have a life that is fulfilling and meaningful and filled with purpose, these are some things that you're going to have to let go of. I mean, at the end of the day, let's be honest, these things are not cute. They're not meant for you to carry around anymore, because they're holding you back, but also because we're adults, right? Like, I think most of us that are tuning into this podcast, listening to this podcast, like, you're an adult. And these are things that we should not be carrying into adulthood, because they're childish things. They're annoying things. They're immature things that really, if you were to come out and tell somebody, I am these things, they'd be like, but aren't you like a little old to be that? It'll make sense as we go through this. But under the sense of fitness and working out and fueling your body, fueling yourself, and pushing toward a goal, I want to incorporate these things into that. Like, what are the things that we are removing from our life because they're holding us back, they're weighing us down, they're literally heavy on us. They're just bad habits that we are continuing to feed and nurture as adults, and we just shouldn't be doing that anymore. So the first one that I want to start off with, because I feel like so many people struggle with this, myself included, it's probably one of the most immature things on this Weight Droppers series that we're going to do. I know I wanted to do Weight Watchers, but that's kind of already taken. But again, we're dropping weight here. We are weight droppers going through this. But I think a lot of people struggle with this. And again, hand is up. Like, I definitely struggle with this. Jealousy and comparison. I'm putting these things together. This is a weight. Like, think of like two dumbbells that you are carrying. These are weights that you no longer need to carry. Jealousy and comparison. It ain't cute for you to carry these into adulthood. It is not cute for you to carry these into your relationships, into your job, into your old age even. Like, these are things that you need to drop. And unfortunately, it's not as easy as it used to be, because now we've got this wonderful thing called social media. We have this wonderful look into everybody's life, and we can find anything and everything to be jealous of just because we've gotten a front row seat into somebody's life that maybe we were never supposed to see, if not for social media. You know what I mean? I still have this theory that we see way too many people. Like, we see way too many people online. We see way too many people's lives. We see way too much news and wins and losses and heartache and success stories. Like, it's too much for our little brains to comprehend. It's too much for our little brains to process. And unfortunately, when it comes to all these influencers, like, their life is so perfect because they use all these wonderful products, or their life is so perfect because, this brand just like sent me this box of stuff. Like, oh my gosh, am I like sounding really jealous right now? I'm not even trying to. But even if it's not the actual products they're using or the things that they're trying to sell to you, even just looking at what they're wearing, what their hair looks like, what their face looks like, looking in the background and seeing like, oh, they have this cute kitchen or this really fancy bathroom, or gosh, I see the photos of their family and like their family just looks so perfect. It's like, forget what's coming out of their mouth. You're looking at what else is going on in that video and what else is going on in that photo and that post. And it's so easy to start comparing yourself. It's so easy to start thinking like, it'd be nice to have that bathroom. It would be nice to have that spouse. It would be nice to have blah 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 blah, whatever it is, you know? We all have insecurities. We all have these things that we feel like we lack. And unfortunately, when you're scrolling through your feed and it seems like everybody has everything and you're the only one that's lacking, it's so easy to let the jealousy monster in. It's so easy to let this spirit of comparison just like overtake you. It ain't cute. We got to let that weight go. And I think what it boils down to is like the weight itself, that jealousy and the comparison, it comes from a place of perception of lack. I was going to say lack just straight up, and maybe that is the case in some scenarios, but I think for the most part, we create in our minds what we think we should have. And oftentimes, we don't even really know what we want to have until we see somebody else with that thing, and then suddenly we want it. Again, that's a very childlike, childish thing, a place to operate from. It's a very childish place to operate from. It's well, I didn't want that toy when it was just lying in the corner, but now that this other kid has picked it up, suddenly I want that toy. I don't know about you, but sometimes I'm going through social media and I'm screenshotting things that I want to buy. And then like when I go back through the photos, I'm like, what? No, I don't want this, you know? A vibrating plate, actually, I do want that, you know? But for the most part, there's stuff in there that I'm like, no, I don't want this. I don't really need this. But in the moment of being on social media, I all of a sudden came up with this perception or this idea that I was lacking that thing. I was lacking something in my life. It's a lack mindset that we start to develop the more that we engage on social media, or we are around things and places that make us feel the same way. It doesn't always have to be on social media, but gosh, you're literally carrying a little source of comparison in your back pocket 24/7, you know, like it follows you around. But jealousy, I think it also comes from this idea of you feeling like you're not where you ultimately want to be. And I understand this feeling. I understand feeling behind. I also understand this feeling of I missed the boat. I missed the train. That's what's interesting. Like I'm in my late 30s. It's like I pushed so hard because I was trying to get somewhere sooner for so long. And now it's like, oh my gosh, I'm trying to slow time down because I feel like the closer I get to 40, the closer I'm getting to my expiration date. But that's not the case. I mean, we've talked about this before. If you're here, you're kicking, you're breathing, you're moving and grooving, like there's still time to do whatever it is that you're trying to do in your life. So ultimately, you know, we can find ourselves getting jealous of somebody or comparing ourselves with somebody simply because we feel like they're in a place that we should be or should have been a long time ago. But don't compare your timeline to somebody else's timeline, okay? They might have arrived a little too early, or, you know, maybe they're right on time. You know, we don't know people's stories. We don't know their scenarios. We don't know their situations. We can't compare where we're at, our scenario, our situation, to other people's. We're all on our own path here, okay? We're all walking with Jesus, doing our own thing. Let him lead, okay? And stop looking at other people on the path. Let them do their thing and you do yours. And I think also jealousy and comparison can come from this feeling of not meeting expectations. And these are expectations that can be put on you by other people. It can be a parent, a father or mother figure, a mentor, a teacher, a coach. Like they set an expectation for you. You didn't meet that expectation, or you feel like you didn't meet it. So you're jealous of the people that did. You're jealous of other people who could meet that expectation. This can happen in the classroom. This can happen on a team that you're playing, on a sporting event or something like that. This can happen in families as well. Good grief. Siblings, sibling rivalry. I mean, you can think, well, they seem to get a lot more love from our parents because they did X, Y, and Z, and I didn't meet X, Y, and Z expectations, you know? But also these expectations can be put on you by yourself. You can expect a lot from yourself, and when you don't meet those expectations, or you don't keep the promises that you've made to yourself, then yeah, it can be really easy for you to be jealous of other people that are doing that and they're successful in their lives. Maybe they are keeping the promises they've made to themselves, and that just gets under your skin because you can't. They just seem so disciplined, but for whatever reason, you can't keep the promise to go to the gym in the morning. Like it's easy for us to get ensnared with jealousy and comparison, even with where we have set the expectations to ourselves. Does that make sense? So if we're looking to drop this weight, I think we really have to understand why it's unhealthy in the first place. Like, why is the processed food at the grocery store, even though it's available, in excess, why is that not good for me? If that's available for me to buy, why is it not healthy? We have to understand why holding on to jealousy and comparison is hurting us more than we think. I think ultimately we believe we feel these emotions and then we're able to push them aside. But the more you ruminate on this stuff, the more you allow yourself to become jealous and compare yourself with other people, the more that just kind of hardwires in your brain. It's what neuroplasticity is all about. And so the next time that you get triggered to feel jealousy, it's so much easier for your brain to just be like, yep, we're jealous. Yep, we're comparing. Yep. You've developed a practice and a mindset that leaves you stuck. So you have to understand that like feeding into jealousy and comparison is not a one-time feeling that you have and that's it. It's not like, oh, I ate the entire tub of ice cream. It's not going to affect me in the long term because it was literally just the act of doing it that was the problem. No. Your body now has to figure out what to do with all that sugar. Your body needs to figure out what to do with all that fat. You know what I mean? And it will store it in places that you don't want it. There are repercussions to that action. And the same thing goes for jealousy and comparison. It makes you stagnant. It paralyzes you where suddenly you don't want to try anymore because why would I try when it just always works out for other people and not for me? It can also make you extremely impulsive. I think about feeling jealous with people that you follow on social media. It may make you want to buy whatever they're selling just to feel like you're not lacking that thing anymore. You know what I mean? So it can lead you to making impulsive and bad decisions. Sometimes when you're so jealous or you're so stuck in a comparison mindset, it's like you get a little reckless in your mind. Well, I'm just going to go take this, or I'm going to go do this, and, I'm going to make myself feel something rather than jealous. Does that make sense? It's the yanking of the toy from another person. It's like with kids, like once that kid is playing with that toy and you see it and you get upset about it, you yank it out of their hands. That's literally what we're doing as adults when we feel that jealousy and comparison rising up in us. And also, I think that it really, it rots you from the inside. I think when you allow negative emotions like this, and this is a commandment, like if you're going to talk biblical stuff, if you're going to talk about Christianity, like thou shalt not covet. Like we are not to look at somebody else and want their things to the point where we think they don't deserve it. It should be ours. And then suddenly we're doubting and we're filled with anxiety and filled with so many other things. But, ultimately, like those negative feelings, like I said, your brain can hardwire to that being their default, but also anything negative like that, I don't have the science or the research to back this up, but I think when you allow too much negativity in your life, too many negative emotions like jealousy, coveting, that kind of thing, I mean, it withers away at your soul. And also, I don't have the scientific evidence to back this up, but I think it causes stress in your body unnecessarily. Like you feeling jealous of somebody else makes you feel a certain type of stress in your body. It's like, it makes sense in my mind because I feel like anything that you harbor and hold on to that is negative results in stress. That's how your body processes it. Now, I'm sure there's some study out there to back me up on this. I feel like when you hold on to negativity, it literally starts to rot and decay your soul. Like, let's just put it that way. So now we need to work on fixing those habits. We need to work on dropping the weight. So how do we work this off? How do we get rid of the weight? Obviously, just like letting go of jealousy and comparison, great place to start. Like literally just dropping that weight. But to make it a little more tangible, to make it a little more something that you can practice rather than just thinking, well, the next time I feel jealous, I'll just tell myself not to. One of the reasons why people are successful in fitness plans, losing weight, eating better, drinking more water, is they know what their triggers are. They understand where the temptations come from. Like, I'm not going to be successful in my meal plan for the week if there's a bunch of junk food in the kitchen or in the pantry. Like, salt and vinegar potato chips are my kryptonite. I will eat the entire bag. Chocolate, not safe in my house. Ice cream, not safe in my house. Like, there are just things that I cannot control myself once I start eating it. Another thing that I don't keep in my house is cereal, because my husband and I both love cereal. Unfortunately, we're the type that, like, we will get a bowl. Like, and when I say bowl, it's basically like a trough. We will get a trough of cereal and sit on the couch and eat it. And that just ain't good. Just putting it out there. But understanding where the temptation is going to come from, understanding a trigger before you ever encounter it will help you avoid that trigger. There's a pastor, his name is Craig. He's in Oklahoma. I can't remember what part of, I want to say Oklahoma City. Don't quote me on that. But he is the pastor at Life Church. And he always says something along the lines of, why would you ever trust yourself to face a temptation when you can eliminate that temptation now? Like, why would you wait to have to fight against it later on when you can actually just nip it in the bud where you're at? So why would you keep Reese's peanut butter cups handy in the house when you know one night you're going to come home and want to eat all those Reese's peanut butter cups? Just don't have them in the house. For you, it may be, when it comes to fitness, like maybe you just don't do the DoorDash anymore, Understanding the triggers, understanding where the temptation is going to come from. So we talked a lot about social media, maybe recognizing that late night scrolling ain't good for you. When you're tired, maybe you've had a glass of wine, it's been a long day, you're revenge sleeping, like you're not ready to go to bed, you want to stay up late because it prolongs having to go back to work the next day. You know what I mean? That's revenge sleep. Maybe you don't need that. You need to have some screen time limitations. You need to set a curfew for you to get off of social media. But I think also, understanding certain environments that can trigger you and make you feel jealous, certain people. I hate to say it, but you got to set some boundaries with some people. Maybe there's some people that you absolutely love, but being in their home is just a little too much of a trigger for you because it just ignites the jealousy fire. And you're like, I don't even want to do it. So we will hang out in public in other places. We will go out and hang out. Or maybe it's just certain people in general that the way that they speak about their jobs or the way that they speak about you and maybe what you do for a living, like isn't helpful for you and it makes you feel jealous. There may be some boundaries that you need to put there. I think also understanding the moods that you're in. We talked about staying up late, but if you're in a feisty, cranky, ladies, if you're in your luteal phase, you probably don't need to be scrolling through social media. I'm just going to put it out there. We'll leave it at that. Watch what you consume, watch the things that you are engaging in, whether it is social media or maybe even it could be a reality television show that leaves you feeling jealous. I know that I've had friends in the past that watching a dating show was tough because they would get so angry at the people that were on that show. Like they don't deserve to find love because they're terrible or they're so annoying. A little bit of jealousy coming out, like maybe understanding that consuming that is just not good. I would also say that when it comes to social media, maybe it's not always just the stuff that pops up, on your For You page or something. Maybe it's the people that you hate follow. Yes, this is a thing. There are people that you might follow, and I've done this in the past, and I've tried to eliminate them. The only reason why you follow them is because you can't stand them and you are waiting for them to fail. You are waiting for any chance you can get to put them down. You are waiting for any opportunity to whisper to your friends and show their profile to them and be like, look at how they're so loserish, like maybe those are people that you don't need to follow anymore because there might be a little bit of jealousy at the very bottom root of that feeling, okay? Again, one of the reasons why people are successful when it comes to health and fitness and working out and being disciplined is because they're not afraid to be honest with themselves. They're not afraid to be like, I can't eat that. I can't go there. I can't stay up that late. I can't drink that. I can't, eat that, whatever. They're not afraid to have those real conversations with themselves about it. I've had to do that in my health and fitness journey, and I'm having to do that as adult when it comes to jealousy and comparison. Like, Jess, you don't need to follow this person. You think you're being supportive, but you're actually not. You're just waiting for them to be annoying so you can feel like you're better than them. Like, let it go. Unfollow, unsubscribe, mute, do whatever you need to do. Block them. I don't know. That might be a little aggressive. Maybe they're your sister and you can't do that, or your cousin or something, But you need to recognize the things that are going to hinder you. You need to recognize the things that you possibly could consume that are not good for you, and get rid of them. So again, know your triggers, recognize what you're consuming, and try to consume something that's better for you, something that leaves you feeling motivated to go try the thing that you want to do, something that leaves you feeling exhilarated or joyful or peaceful. Those are the things that you should be consuming and engaging with on a regular basis. That's not to say that there's not going to be conflict in your life, or there's not going to be moments and opportunities where something, makes you upset or legitimately makes you feel unmotivated and, like you're lacking something. That happens, okay? I'm not here saying that you are exactly where you need to be and you have everything you want, because we're all growing, we're all changing, like we're always looking for the next thing to build and grow. And it's okay to recognize, like, I love where I'm at. It's a wonderful blessing to be here, but I do want to grow more. I do want to, continue to get better in this area, or to try new things, or to get promoted here or progress there. That's a wonderful thing. But recognizing where the motivation is and where the jealousy and comparison is, that's going to be a huge factor in you being successful. You want to be with the stuff that challenges you to be disciplined and motivated, and you want to eliminate the things that leave you feeling, stuck because you can't get away from how jealous you are of these other people. And then finally, I think one of the things that you need to do is build your confidence muscles. Get in the gym and work out and try to get some reps in when it comes to, I won here. I was successful here. I tried this. And, maybe I wasn't super successful at it, but man, I feel really good that I got out of my comfort zone and I did try something. Getting out and doing horseback riding. I haven't been on a horse since I was a kid. And I'm talking like 10 years old max, like maybe even younger than that. And I was not a horse rider. I just loved it. And so I said, you know what? I want to get on another horse again to feel like a kid again. But also I wanted to just get out of my comfort zone and do something that I know I wanted to do, and recognize that I could have been really bad at it. And also recognizing, like, oh, I actually might fall off of this horse and injure myself, but that's okay. That was rule number 1 of the horseback riding class, was do not fall off the horse. But you need to do things in your life, do little things on a day-to-day basis, do bigger things on an occasional basis that get you out of your comfort zone, that have you trying something new, that build confidence. And maybe it is going to do the thing that you've been talking about for the last 6 years. Go do it. We're not living in COVID anymore, where there's limitations and things are closed down and you can't go anywhere and you're supposed to stay at home all day. No. We are living in the world, and it's been 6 years since then. So don't use that as an excuse anymore. Like, get out there and try, and keep the promises that you make to yourself. I started working on, I'm calling it my magic list. And I've shared this with you before. It's just things that I want to do. Whether it becomes my whole identity or not is another thing. But I have such respect for my husband because he got into RC racing again. That's something that he did as a kid. It fell by the wayside, because life happens and gets in the way and things like that. But now, like, he's in it and he's doing the thing, and he humbled himself and recognized that I may not be as good at this as I remember. There might be a learning curve here. But now it's like he's going to be competing in nationals again this year, and he's going to be competing in worlds this year, like against people from other countries. Like, this is a big deal. And it's all because he told himself, This is what I want to do. Why am I not doing it? And then he made a change and made it happen. And every day that he worked on his car or got out there and did a race or, took an L here or an L there or wrecked here or broke that or whatever, even though it may not have been the outcome he wanted, it built confidence. And I want to encourage you to do the same thing. If you're sitting back and you're scrolling on social media and all you can think about is how awful and boring your life is and you wish it could be like the people on the screen, you need to get out there and get moving. If the jealousy and comparison is starting to take over your life to a point where you don't even want to try anymore, you're going to have to bust through that wall and try something. Take some little baby steps. I always encourage people that if you want to do something different in your life, it doesn't have to be a big dramatic thing. It can just simply be, I usually order this kind of coffee from this kind of shop. I think I'm going to go somewhere else today. Could be great, could be terrible, but it gets me out of the rut of routine. It gets me out of the rut of same old every single day. And I think we need that novelty. We need that little bit of spontaneity and a little bit of spice in life. You know what I mean? And the more you do things like that, the more that you take little baby steps like that, your confidence is going to grow. And suddenly you're not comparing yourself to every little thing. And then that grows into something bigger and something bigger and something bigger. And then suddenly you're like, I'm going to get on a horse and go on a trail ride. It sounds so silly, but I think it works a lot. It helps a lot and it keeps you from just feeling stuck. And when you feel less stuck, you're less likely to think everybody's doing everything and you're the only one that's stuck. It's less isolating, you know what I mean? And B, it really gives you an opportunity to explore and enjoy your life, which again is one thing that we talked about last week. And this is not to say that everything is going to be perfect. This is not to say that everything you try is going to be wonderful and awesome, or that, bad things might not happen when you take those risks. That's a part of it. That's a part of taking a risk. But this is to say that you are actually, again, being the main character in your life, which is another thing that we talked about last week. And if you can be the main character and you can support the main character and love the main character and cheer the main character on and shout, at the screen when the main character comes on. I think about sitcoms when certain characters that people loved came out on set and into the frame and the audience would go nuts. You need to be that person for yourself. And I think when you are supporting yourself, cheering on yourself, and loving yourself as the main character in your own story, it is a lot harder for you to be jealous of other people living their own lives in their own story as their own main character. You know what I mean? It allows you to truly celebrate you. And when you're celebrating you, it's hard to be jealous of other people. In fact, if you're celebrating you and you love the things that you're doing and you feel like you're contributing in your own life and you are that main character, it's like suddenly you can support other people in their roles and you can love things that they're doing for them because that's what they want to do and that's what they love. And then you can also do what you love and we're all just happier because of it. So work those muscles, build those confidence muscles, okay? When you make a promise to yourself, keep it. When you set an expectation or a goal for yourself, work as hard as you can to make it happen. When you say, oh, I wish I could do this, go do it. Go give it a try. Why not? There's other things that I want to do on my magic list this year, and I think it's going to be fun and exciting. And some people may join me on that journey, some people may not, and I don't really care at this point because again, I'm the main character in my life, and I want to do these things because I don't want to watch other people do them and sit back and say, coulda, shoulda, woulda. Wish I would have had the confidence to do that. Wish I would have had friends to do that. Wish I would have had a partner to do that. No. Just go do it. Okay. That will easily help mitigate the jealousy and the comparison. These weights that you're holding, these dumbbells that you're, carrying in a farmer's carry. drop them because they are not serving you. And again, at the end of the day, saying that everybody's life is so wonderful and yours is so awful when you haven't tried to do anything, that just ain't cute anymore. And we've outgrown that, okay? So drop the weight, go run your race, run it well, run it with endurance, run it with a big old smile on your face, and run it with this understanding that like there may be some hiccups along the way, but that just adds color to the story. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, it's like I always tell people when they're getting married, not that I have a lot of people in my life that are getting married right now, but in the past, I've told people like when things go wrong, and they will, just understand those are typically the stories you're going to tell first. Like when I think about people that I know that got married and something went wrong at their wedding, that's the story they tell first. The dress that busted, the cake that never arrived, the flowers that were the wrong color. Or for me, I always tell people like when we were leaving our reception, we were walking through Sparklers, and I didn't know that you could only buy sparklers at certain times during the year. I thought they were available anytime. Fireworks, you know? No. So there weren't really a lot available going into December when I got married. Again, my husband was military. We didn't get to pick our month. It was just in between training schedules, you know? So the venue that we got married at, they're like, oh yeah, I think we have sparklers like in the shed, you know? Okay. So they had them in storage. They brought them out and like we used those. Unfortunately, I think they were a little old and a little extra crumbly as they sparkled. And like my dress got so singed at the bottom. It never caught fire, but there were like, it was like meteors just like going through like 17 layers of tulle. We showed up at the hotel that we were staying at that night. We walked into the lobby and I was like, I look like I went through a war zone. Nothing up top, but just everything in that little fit and flare dress that I had was just like, just holes through it, you know? But again, that's typically the story I tell first, you know? So just recognizing that there's going to be ups and downs, ebbs and flows, good things, bad things. That's all a part of your story, but don't let any of that stuff hold you back. And understand that the people that you're seeing around you, the people you're seeing on social media, they have been through things too. Everybody has something that they have struggled with or are struggling with. Everybody has things that have tried to hold them back, tried to hurt them. We've all been through fires and messes and thickets and thorns and bushes and stuff. Like we've all been through the mud, if you will. But they're still choosing to show up and try and do and see what happens. I want to encourage you to do the same thing, okay? Drop the weights of comparison. Drop the weights of jealousy. Get out there and run your race. We'll be jumping into another weight that I think we should be dropping in this Weight Droppers series next week.